What's good? What's good? It's the one, the only, the king himself. But what do I know? Boxing, back at y'all with another one. First and foremost, got to give a big shout out to one of my OGs, my big brother himself, Money Brown TV, man. Thank you for continuing to inspire me to do what I do and push me. And bro, I look up to you, Money Brown. So big shout out to Money Brown, man. If y'all not following him, what the hell you doing with your life? Make sure you follow my big brother. I decided to do a video based off of the top 10 fights that I wanted to see in recent time. Now, majority of these fights are more so could have possibly taken place more so after 2010, with the exception of like one. But I definitely had to talk about the fights that I wanted to see. What I'm going to talk about is the fights that I wanted to see. Who do I feel like was the reason for that fight not happening, and who do I see winning? First up, I'm going to bring in an honorable mention. Deante Walder versus Anthony Joshua. Now, I do feel like Anthony Joshua's side and Eddie Hearn was the reason why this fight didn't happen more so. I remember Deante Walder wanted 40%. Anthony Joshua wanted to give him a flat fee, or Eddie Hearn wanted to give him a flat fee, and then Anthony Joshua was talking about give me 50 million and all this type of stuff, and it's just a lot back and forth with that. And then Showtime came up with the 50 million, and then Anthony Joshua didn't want it, and DAZN came up with this $100 million deal for Wilder. But that what it was Wilder was supposed to, it was two fights that Wilder was gonna get 40 million for, and then the Anthony Joshua fight, which he would only got 20 million for. It was just, it's a lot that's into it, bro. Like a lot, literally a lot that I really don't have the time or energy to even be getting into. But this is definitely a fight that I really wish would have happened. Two undefeated heavyweight champions, both power punchers. But let's get into number 10. We have Brandon Rios versus Victor Ortiz, a fight that I really want. A fight that was actually gonna happen like in 2017, like January of like 2017 or 2016. It was actually gonna happen, and then it just fizzled out. Nothing came about it. These two obviously have history with each other. They do not like each other. Brandon Rios, Victor Ortiz, they can't stand each other. Always talk about each other. They've known each other since they were young, since they were kids. They used to be very cool. There's actually videos with them being very cool. It's just a shame we never got this fight. When both fighters were with Al Haymon, this fight was supposed to happen. They were talking about it and everything. It was going into play. Never fizzled out. Who do I think would have won? At the peak of their career, I probably would have given it to Victor Ortiz had more skills, but Brandon Rios had more heart. I'd probably say Brandon Rios by stoppage. All right. Number 9, Kell Brook versus Keith Thurman. This is a fight that I really, really wish would have happened. And what's crazy is I don't know why this fight just never manifested, bro. Obviously, Eddie Hearn had Kell Brook, Keith Thurman being with the PBC. But at that time, I don't even think Eddie Hearn and the PBC really had that, bad blood. I do know that it was a point in time where it seemed like everybody that Kell Brook, every big name that Kell Brook was supposed to be fighting, just something happened. Devin Alexander, they were supposed to fight like 3 times. That didn't happen. Kell Brook versus Tim Bradley, they were supposed to fight. It didn't happen. Kell Brook versus Brandon Rios didn't happen. Kell Brook versus Diego Chavez didn't happen. But Kell Brook did fight Sean Porter and beat Sean Porter. Keith Thurman, I don't know, bro. it just didn't seem like, I don't know. I really wish this fight would have happened in like 2015, bro, or 2016, or 2015. Like, this fight would have been a good fight. Who would I have picked? I don't blame anybody for this fight not happening. It just did not happen. It just seemed like neither side really cared to make this fight happen. Who would have picked though? At the time, I think Keith Thurman was, at that particular time, I think Keith Thurman was more dangerous, hungry, more elusive, athletic, slick. I'm going with Keith Thurman. Number 8. We're on number 8. Okay, number 8. Sergey Kovalev versus Adonis Stevenson. Now, this fight right here, this fight right here had like everything. This fight should have happened. Adonis Stevenson had like the WBC belt, and Sergey Kovalev had every other belt, bro. Right? And you can blame Adonis Stevenson for this fight not happening, At one point, it was Adonis Stevenson's fault, but then at another point, it was Sergey Kovalev's team fault. It said that, Stevenson had a deal with HBO and agreed to a Kovalev fight for early 2014, but then signed with Al Heyman and went to Showtime. And so that kind of messed things up. However, Stevenson was ordered to defend his title against Kovalev by the WBC, which led to a purse bid being made. It looked like the fight was going to happen. It was close, but then main events, Kathy Duval, who was a promoter of Sergey Kovalev, backed out and basically stated that because Showtime was looking to win the purse bid, Sergey Kovalev was contractually signed to fight with HBO and could not fight under another network. So she pulled out of it. She said that she couldn't make it because of that reason right there. So you can blame a little both. Who do I think would have won? I do think that Sergey Kovalev would have won. Adonis Stevenson he had that very powerful straight left. I think that, but his style, in order to beat Sergey Kovalev, you got to rough him up on the inside, man. Sergey Kovalev knew how to fight on the outside, and I think he would have stopped him. Next up, we have Arthur Abraham versus Kelly Pavlik. Both fighters knockout punchers, both at 160. This fight was before 2010. Well, this fight could have happened before 2010, but just saying, both fighters at 160. Both fighters was undefeated. Both fighters knockout punchers. Arthur Abraham, just being a tough guy, bro. Knowing him, seeing his fight against Edison Miranda when he had the broken jaw and still coming back to win. Kelly Pavlik, man, just both fighters beat, Jermaine Taylor. I think this fight would have been just a great fight. Both fighters tough as nails. I think Kelly Pavlik would have won. Arthur Abraham is way more stiff than Kelly Pavlik, and I think Kelly Pavlik's offense is better. But that's just my opinion. I think Kelly Pavlik probably would have won by decision, close decision. Next up, Adrian Broner versus Yuri Gambo. Number 6, Adrian Broner versus Yuri Gambo. Man, at 135, I don't know why this fight didn't happen. I don't know how this fight didn't happen. I do know at one point Gambo was signed with 50 Cent, and I remember 50 Cent had an interview saying that it's no point in him trying to fight Adrian Broner. We might as well, move on to other things or whatnot. But man, I wish this fight would have happened at 135, dude. Both of them being at their peak at that time around 2011, 2012, man, bro, I would have loved for this fight to happen. I would have picked Adrian Broner at that particular time to beat Gambo. AB at that time was just his offensive game was just so cold, bro. He let his hands go more. He was more elusive at 135 as well. That weight seemed like to fit him more perfect. All right, so I definitely would have picked AB. Next up, number 5. Oh yeah, Mr. Triple G. See, let me tell y'all about this fight right here. I would have loved for Andre Ward to fight Triple G. All right, let me drop this bug in your ear right quick, as the old folks say. Let me tell you something. Triple G at the time said he would knock out anybody from 154 to 168, right? He tried to make a fight with Mikkel Kessler. He tried to make a fight with Carl Froch. 2 guys that Andre Ward beat, but he wanted Andre Ward to come down to 164, a weight that Andre Ward never fought at. Because Andre Ward, Triple G was complaining that everybody was ducking him. Andre Ward was like, shit, I'll fight you. Let's go. Let's make it happen. He said, nah, I want Andre Ward at 164. Matter of fact, when they asked Triple G about Andre Ward, this is what he had to say. Hold on one second.
Okay, Nadi, what do you say to Andre Ward that says that you're ducking him?
No, Andre Ward is too much for me. Not today. Andre and this Andre, it's me.
What can we expect from you the night of the fight?
Andre, it's me. Nah, bro, like, man, that really irritated me about Triple G. Because man, you sat there, you wanted Ward to come down to 164, but then you want to fight guys that Ward is beating at 168. I didn't appreciate that. Who would I pick to win that in that fight? Well, that's the easy one. Andre Ward. I think Andre would have won that fight either 8 rounds to 4 or 9 rounds to 3. I think Andre Ward is too much for Triple G. I think he was too much for Triple G. Andre Ward would have neutralized Triple G. Andre Ward all day. Number 4, we have Kodo versus Marquez. This is a fight. Now, this is a fight that I mean, this was nobody's fault. They fought at separate weights at separate times. I just thought that the style and the matchup would have just been interesting. Kodo being a come forward, very good boxer. Marquez being a very good counter puncher. The whole Mexican versus Puerto Rico rivalry, bro. This fight has success written all over it. They were supposed to have a exhibition matchup, which is what you see on this screen, but it didn't happen. I would have loved this fight, man. Again, this is nobody's fault. They fought at different weights at different times. When Marquez was at 40, Kodo was at 47. When Marquez was at 47, Kodo was at 54. Just different weights at different times. I don't blame anybody. I would have picked Kodo, but in a hell of a matchup. Now, number 3, this one right here. All right, man. A lot of people said Floyd avoided Paul Williams. From what I remember researching, I do remember them basically saying like Paul Williams was on the up and up coming. He would have been a high risk, low reward. So yes, if you want to say Floyd avoided him, you can say that. You can say that. But the risk was not there for Paul Williams, for Floyd Mayweather, who at that time was now going by the persona of Floyd Money Mayweather, meaning he fought for money. Paul Williams was just he wasn't that marquee name. So he wasn't big enough for Floyd to really have to fight, quote unquote. But he definitely was notable enough by the boxing fans to where they felt like, you know, he would have given Floyd a very hard fight, possibly even beating Floyd. Let me show you what Paul Williams had to say about Floyd though, because Paul Williams doesn't feel like Floyd ducked him.
Speaking about the best in your era, a lot of people said, in a word, ducked you and should have fought you, was Floyd Mayweather. What are your thoughts on him? What are your thoughts of, like, should you guys have fought one another? Do you think he ducked you?
I don't think we should. It wasn't right for us. Like,
that's what caused
everything happened for a reason. Like, everything happened in time. Like, it was in the cars. It wasn't the time for me to fight him yet. Like, I guess he was so hot right then. And then, like, I'm up and coming. They was building me up. And then when, like Alvarez and me finna fight, I thought after that fight, yeah, I would have got my shot, but, you know, I had my accident and stuff, so I like changing and stuff, so when that happened, you know what I'm saying, like, it is what it is, but do I think it could happen sooner? Yeah, I probably would have thought so, but.
Now, for y'all that don't know, Paul Williams was actually scheduled to fight Canelo Alvarez. This was supposed to be in like September of 2012, and but unfortunately he suffered a horrific motorcycle accident which paralyzed him, and to this day, you know, he can't walk. So obviously he doesn't box anymore. But what he was saying was, if he would have gotten past Canelo, then he would have felt like absolutely the fight would have been, he would have gotten the Mayweather fight. I don't know. It's hard to pick against Floyd because Floyd is the best when it comes to adjusting in boxing history. I have not seen a boxer that can adjust better than Floyd. Paul Williams did not use his height. It's hard to pick against Floyd, man. I don't know. Paul Williams was a southpaw. Paul Williams would have gave Floyd issues, man. I don't know, man. I probably would pick Floyd by split decision. All right. This fight right here, oh my goodness, I wanted this fight so bad. At 154, I wanted this fight, bro. Oh my goodness, man. I hate that this fight never happened. Sergio Martinez versus Floyd Mayweather, bro. Can you say Floyd ducked Sergio? I don't necessarily think so, because Sergio was at 160. he wasn't really known that well at 154, but he started calling Floyd's name at 160 and stating that he would go to 154 to fight Floyd. Floyd has never fought a true Floyd has never fought a super welterweight, should I say, a true 154 pounder. Everybody that he's fought, or should I say, he's never fought a true 154 pounder at 154 pounds. Everybody that Floyd faced at 154 pounds was former welterweights. So I'm not so sure. I mean, I would have loved for this fight to happen. I don't necessarily know if I wouldn't say that Floyd, I can't say that Floyd ducked him when they were in two different weight classes. If Floyd would have been like, you know, the difference between like Floyd and what, like, my issue with Andre Ward and Triple G is that Andre Ward actually, Triple G actually called out these guys at 168 and said he would knock all of them out and tried to make fights with them. Floyd never tried to make a fight at 160, but however, he was campaigning at 154. But he only beat welterweights at 154. He never beat a true junior middleweight. So, or a natural junior middleweight, should I say. But here's what Floyd had to say about Sergio Martinez.
Speaking of this fight at 154, you're fighting Miguel Kodo. It has a lot of fans talking that maybe Floyd Mayweather can fight Sergio Martinez, since Sergio said that he wouldn't mind dropping down and fighting you at 154. What are your thoughts on that potential matchup?
I think Sergio Martinez will be a good fight with the guy that I'm working with right now, Andre Durrell. So I think at this particular time, my main focus is Miguel Kodo. I mean, hopefully we can fight at a catch weight, you know, in the future. Can it happen? It's possible, but we also got, if Sergio Martinez is a guy like myself, a guy who likes to, you know, go up and down in weight, he can go to 168 and fight Andre Durrell. So that'd be a good matchup.
Man, I know Andre Durrell was signed with Floyd and 50 Cent at the time. Maybe that was a deflection tactic. Maybe Floyd was really trying to, you know, get Andre Durrell out there. Who knows? He did the same thing with Earl Spence when Keith Thurman called him out. Who would I pick in this fight? I would pick Floyd by a very close split decision. That's a super close fight, like the Paul Williams fight. And number one, this is the fight that I really wish would have happened, man. Oh my goodness, I wish this fight would have happened. Man, Canelo Alvarez versus Sergio Martinez. From anywhere from 154 to 160, man. I wish this fight would have happened. I wish this fight would happen, bro. I really think that these styles, like these two fighters, bro, they would have made for a hell of an interesting matchup. Sergio Martinez being athletic as hell, good on his feet. He used to be a soccer player, very good on his feet, good with moving around. That does give Canelo issues. Canelo being Canelo, man. I would have actually rather seen it at 160 because that's when Canelo was a little more seasoned. I think this just would have been an excellent fight. I think this would have been an excellent fight. This is the fight that I really would have. I would have paid top dollars to see this fight, man. Fight never happened. Nobody's fault. Sergio Martinez was, you know, kind of exiting the door when Canelo was becoming on top. Nobody's fault why this fight didn't happen. It was just the timing of the two different eras. But man, oh man, would I have loved to see this fight, bro. I think this fight would have just been a hell of an entertaining matchup. I probably would pick Canelo. I probably would pick Canelo. And it's crazy. Yeah, I would pick Canelo. I would pick Canelo to win, but damn it, this would have been a great matchup, bro. Both of them, like, you know, not the Sergio Martinez that fought Miguel Kodo, but man, I would have loved this fight. So there you guys have it, the top 10. I'm gonna do another one for the earlier 2000s, but these fights are mostly after 2010s, with the exception of maybe like one. But man, boxing at its best could be a beautiful sport, and it's a lot of fights that we missed out on due to ducking, due to promotion, due to networks, all this, man. You know, and it's pro boxing is not even a sport, it's a business. But you know, this is a beautiful, it could be such a beautiful sport, man. I would have loved to seen all these fights. Let me know what fights you would have loved to see. Let me know who you thought would have won out of these fights that I've named. Excuse me. Who do you think would have won? Who would you have loved to see each fighter fight? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?